This is the great Bill Withers and his song Ain't No Sunshine, which is all about missing the feminine presence. And I treated my cafe ladies to a bouquet of flowers because yesterday was International Women's Day. And where would we be without women, females? Well, it would be very boring, very colorless, like a world without color or a world without bird song, without sunrises and sunsets. So men have their place and what they give to the world, but most definitely women have pretty magical effects on our world. So the young thing alone, but ain't no sunshine when she's gone. Only darkness every day. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. This house just ain't no home. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Anytime she goes away. Ain't no sunshine. This is, to me, fairly unknown. It's by the Tragically Hip, the greatest band name in history. Song is called Ahead by a Century. And I don't know whether it's about Canada or what it is, but first thing we climb a tree, and we would talk. Horses silently, and listen to our thoughts. The versions of sound The Tragically Hip. So I heard that when Jimi Hendrix heard the song All Along the Watchtower, he fell in love with it right away. He just stuck on that one song for about a week and learned it, and I think he recorded it in something like 10 days. This is when he was staying in England during his first trip over, I believe. So, yeah, it's got a lot of possibilities. I like doing it as a kind of dark but rocking song, different than how Bobby does it. The great Jimmy died with about $10 in his pocket. Not because he was poor, he just never thought about money. I guess the record companies gave him money, and probably various women who found him attractive on so many levels gave him money, and he just didn't really care. All he wanted to do was play music and express himself, and I think he literally never thought about anything else. Just wasn't important to him. And I've known a musician or two that are like that. There are some musicians who can play just beautifully on almost any instrument and yet refuse to own a guitar or any instrument. They can do amazing things. One guy, he defies logic and engineering, because he can play a guitar with fat winter gloves on, that it's physically, engineeringly impossible to put your fat finger, your fat gloved finger, on a string and not touch the strings on the other side. It's impossible, but that's the magic of what the best people do. So this is from the Hollies, and this is where Graham Nash started. I get his name mixed up. A guy from England, anyway. Kind of a thin guy with a mustache and goatee. He was originally in the Hollies, but he happened to be in Laurel Canyon one night. Joni Mitchell was there, and they just happened to meet up with, Crosby, Stills, etc. Laurel Canyon, and the first night that they sang harmonies, people were just, it was like a bomb had gone off. Everybody knew something had happened. It was just a matter of how it would progress from there. And of course, Woodstock, as they said on stage at Woodstock, we're scared shitless, man. This is our first gig. And it was like the second or third time they played officially in front of people. And I got to see Graham Nash play. They have a big music festival here on the island every year. I think they're missing it this year because of money issues. But he was up there, so I read his book. And he was also big into photography. And when the first new large-size print machine came, he and a few other guys started taking it apart and forcing it to do things it was never intended to do. And so he's an incredible photographer and printmaker. So, riding along on a carousel, yeah. Interesting song, but it was the late 50s. England had, rationing. They got their quarter pound of butter or whatever a week. And really after the Second World War, it was only America, basically, that did well. England had rations till the mid-60s. That's why they have such bad teeth. And of course, you know, all of Europe was a mess, although there was a lot of dollars coming in through the Marshall Plan. But yeah, and of course the Eastern Bloc countries went right back under Soviet control. Something like 10 million Ukrainians were starved to death in the Second World War. The Russians just destroyed everything so the Ukrainians could find nothing. So pretty hard things to overcome. Oh, I got to stop this 16 minutes.